shock and heartbreak in Kenya after a day-long siege by al-Shabaab militants at an eastern university. In our Music Maker segment, Burundian female singer Khaja Nin and her new video. And a multi-racial beauty queen hopes to change her country's thinking about national identity. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening. I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. Kenyans are mourning a day after a deadly attack that ended with the deaths of 147 people at an eastern university. Officials say 4 al-Shabaab terrorists were also killed. The gunmen attacked in the early morning hours Thursday and started shooting indiscriminately. As the security forces surrounded the Garissa University College, the attackers held some students as hostages. Zlatska Hoke reports.
A manhunt is underway in Kenya for the mastermind of the latest brutal al-Shabaab attack that may have been planned for some time. The early morning gunshots sent Garissa students fleeing in panic.
As you can see the situation we are in here. I've even run naked because we were not even given time to know what is happening.
He started shooting, and I shoot to fire of you too then.
They started shooting. There was one gunman firing from the doorway, so I had to jump out of the window, and that's when I was hit by a bullet in the leg. I jumped out the window and fell down. I ran to the gate, and that's when I met a biker who helped me get to the hospital.
Awakened by shooting, panicked students were not sure where to go. Witnesses say many ran toward the attackers in the confusion.
65 casualties were taken from the site to the hospital. Of those 65 casualties, 4 of them were critically injured, and a majority of those casualties sustained gunshot wounds.
Kenyan security forces besieged the campus for most of the day before killing the 4 attackers. President Uhuru Kenyatta urged Kenyans to stay calm and provide any useful information they may have about threats to security.
This is a moment for everyone throughout the country to be vigilant as we confront and defeat our enemies.
Kenya's Interior Ministry announced late Thursday that after the gunmen were killed, the operation was complete. Of more than 800 students, some 500 were accounted for. The ministry published a poster of the suspected mastermind of the attack, offering a $215,000 reward. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon condemned the massacre and expressed hope that those responsible will quickly be brought to justice.
The Secretary General reiterates his solidarity with the people and the government of Kenya, as well as the continuing support of the United Nations to Kenya and the countries of the region in their efforts to prevent and counter terrorism and violent extremism.
Somalia-based al-Shabaab frequently stages attacks in Kenya, saying it is in retaliation for Nairobi sending troops to fight the terrorist group on its soil. Al-Shabaab's deadly attacks have had a devastating effect on Kenya's tourism. Zlatska Hoke, VOA News, Washington.
For the latest on the situation in eastern Kenya, VOA's East Africa correspondent Gabe Josler joins us live by phone from Garissa town. Gabe, give us a feel of the town of Garissa this evening.
Well, this evening it's very, very quiet. You know, there's a curfew in effect now in Garissa County and 3 other counties that are particularly prone to these sort of attacks. During the day, you have military forces out in the streets. You have a mixture of emotions. There's a lot of fear still, a lot of grieving, but also a lot of sort of defiance. We saw a couple of sort of protests and demonstrations in the streets and announcements from local politicians, you know, to stand up and say we are against al-Shabaab or against terror and we stand together as Kenyans. So it's really a mixed bag of emotions here.
Now, there have been rumors that perhaps al-Shabaab might have gotten away with some students. What are you hearing? Are all students accounted for?
Not all students are accounted for yet. The Red Cross and local health authorities have set up centers where people can come and try to find their loved ones, their relatives, people who are missing. We visited one of those locations today, and there were still many students who were unaccounted for, and nobody was really sure of their locations. Hopefully that information will become a bit clearer in the coming days.
In terms of those who survived and who come from other parts of the country, what do you know about where are they staying? Those who've been injured, have they all been taken to facilities that can take care of them?
A lot of the survivors have been taken to kind of camps that are being guarded by Kenyan Defense Forces around Garissa town. Other students and affected people are trying to leave Garissa very urgently. We spoke to a few students who had come from different areas of Kenya, not from this region, and they said they were apprehensive to come here in the first place, and now they never want to come back. So it's been a shock for a lot of those, and of course the local people here are also deeply affected and offended by this action as well. The injured are mostly being treated here in Garissa, although a few have been medevaced out to Nairobi. Those who required a little bit more treatment. Also, some international NGOs have been here, like Doctors Without Borders, helping to increase the medical staff presence.
Well, Gabe, thank you very much. VOA's East Africa correspondent Gabe Josler reporting live from Garissa in eastern Kenya. Now, Kenya has in the past come under criticism both at home and abroad for its poor response to disasters and other emergencies. How was the situation in Garissa handled? How different was it from the aftermath of the Westgate Mall attack in 2013? And now for some insights, I'm joined by Mr. Pius Masai, the acting director of the Kenya Disaster Management Unit. Mr. Masai, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you, sir.
Now, response, the act of terrorism nowadays is almost expected everywhere, but people are judging countries by how they respond to these situations. First, how have you responded as an agency to the emergency in Garissa town yesterday?
Actually, Barmakori, as you've said, thank you for that question. And issue of response is not come fast because, as we're aware that disaster management requires a lot of mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. Our focus normally should be most on mitigation, preparedness. Response coming in because when we are now attacked, we must respond. Mm-hmm. And our response plan in Kenya has been set as the national working documents. The Kenya government has set up a national plan whereby it has plans, standard operating procedures, whereby it has brought in place National Disaster Management Unit, NDMU, which is an interagency, and it plays a lead role in managing of emergencies and disasters in Kenya. Mm-hmm. So the plan is well coordinated in that. In the past, you realize that there was lack of proper leadership, coordination, command, and control.
And now, who is ensuring that there's proper coordination if it is an interagency kind of unit? What is being done to ensure that everything is streamlined?
NDMU has capabilities and is, through its functions, it has been given overall leadership, control, and command. And it ensures that stakeholders in Kenya are conversant with the Kenya National Disaster Management plans and standard operating procedures, whereby there is also a national protocol on mass casualty instance, whereby all stakeholders, key stakeholders in Kenya came together and streamlined how incidents have to be managed in Kenya, whereby each and every stakeholder has been given a primary responsibility as what they're supposed to do before, during, and after disasters.
I just want to give you an opportunity to give this, to give me in a very kind of concise way the typical response, say, to what happened in Garissa and how this can apply elsewhere.
A typical response, I am now in the United States of America because I was here for official tour. I've just heard of this through media, and actually I cannot really give the specific of what is actual response. As what I know, the best practice is incident management as civil in nature, whereby the first responders actually, and I believe, who respond to the incident are the public and the police. the military normally comes in support. But in some situations, if an incident occurs and the military have a responsibility to deal with the situation at hand, they have the capacity because they have got their functions, and within those of their functions, they have a responsibility to support the civil defense.
But I want to believe that you've been involved in coordination, although you're very far, because you're in charge of the agency, aren't you?
It is true.
Yes.
Actually, on the ground, as far as I know, because our national plans really directly explains on who to do what and what levels. Mm-hmm. You know, incidents by nature, they start local by nature. Imagine this incident, it started as a small incident, but as it is a big incident whereby it involves the whole nation. And if this incident involves nation, our president is actually in charge. And I've heard the president's sentiment whereby he has said he has mobilized all resources towards this incident.
Thank you.
So the president is actually in charge.
Thank you.
Yes.
And we hope we won't see a repeat of this. Mr. Masai, thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Piers Masai is the acting director of the Kenya Disaster Management Unit. Now, turning to the Gulf state of Yemen, officials there say Shia Houthi rebels and their allies fought their way through the center of Aden, seizing the presidential palace in the key southern port city. Now, the capture of Aden would mark a setback for the Saudi-led coalition, which has been carrying out airstrikes for more than a week across Yemen. Saudi Arabia's ambassador to the U.S. says the airstrikes are making progress, but more time is needed.
We believe that the coalition activities are achieving their objectives. It will take a little bit more time, but we're determined to prevail in Yemen, and we're determined to restore the legitimate government of Yemen and protect the people of Yemen.
Well, President Abdi Rabbi Mansour Hadi fled Aden a week ago as the Houthis pushed south in an offensive that brought Saudi Arabia and other allies to launch a campaign of airstrikes to try to halt the advance. Human Rights Watch said Thursday one of the coalition airstrikes that killed at least 29 people earlier this week raised grave concerns about violations of the laws of war. Well, President Barack Obama hailed the framework accord to limit Iran's nuclear program and launched what will be a protracted campaign to sell the deal to the American public and a Republican-led Congress, many members of which have been skeptical or even disdainful of negotiations with Iran or Tehran. Now, viewers, Michael Bowman reports from the White House.
A clearly pleased President Obama strode into the Rose Garden to announce that a goal sought by America for decades could be at hand if a final accord is hammered out.
This framework would cut off every pathway that Iran could take to develop a nuclear weapon. Iran will face strict limitations on its program, and Iran has also agreed to the most robust and intrusive inspections and transparency regime ever negotiated for any nuclear program in history.
Mr. Obama detailed restrictions on the atomic materials Iran will be able to retain and the locations where they can be held. He repeatedly stressed that the accord will be based on verification, not trust.
If Iran cheats, the world will know it. If we see something suspicious, we will inspect it. Iran's past efforts to weaponize its program will be addressed. With this deal, Iran will face more inspections than any other country in the world.
Recent polls showed Americans open to a negotiated settlement of the nuclear standoff with Iran. Not so all U.S. lawmakers. Last month, 47 Republican senators sent an open letter to Iran promising a de facto congressional veto of any deal reached. After Thursday's announcement, the letter's author, Senator Tom Cotton, dismissed the accord as, quote, a list of dangerous U.S. concessions that will put Iran on the path to nuclear weapons. In a statement, House Speaker John Boehner said, quote, Congress must be allowed to fully review the details of any agreement before any sanctions are lifted. President Obama welcomed congressional debate, but sought to inoculate the deal from harsh criticism.
So when you hear the inevitable critics of the deal sound off, ask them a simple question. Do you really think that this verifiable deal, if fully implemented, backed by the world's major powers, is a worse option than the risk of another war in the Middle East? Is it worse than doing what we've done for almost 2 decades with Iran moving forward with its nuclear program and without robust inspections?
If legislators needed a proof of concept that a stringent deal that restricts Iran's nuclear program is reachable, they should have that evidence in today's deal.
Nuclear expert James Acton had been a skeptic of the negotiations and seems pleasantly surprised by the outcome.
I'm not going to predict what legislators will do. We all recognize that legislators are often motivated by political considerations rather than by the text of the agreement. But again, all I can tell you is that if they judge this agreement on its merits, this agreement deserves their support.
The president stressed that the accord will not erase decades of mistrust between Washington and Tehran. But at a time of galloping conflicts from Ukraine to Syria to Yemen that have repeatedly put the administration's foreign policy to the test, Mr. Obama, a Nobel Peace Laureate, is within striking distance of a historic accord that, if completed and successful, could cement his legacy on the world stage. Michael Bowman, VOA News, the White House.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered during the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, in our Music Makers segment, Burundian singer and musician Hadjanin. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's Music Makers time. Today we'll introduce you to Hadjanin. She's a soulful singer from the Central African nation of Burundi. To tell us more, we're joined by VOA's RM Music Show host, Roger Muntu. Welcome, Roger, once again.
Thanks for having me, Vance.
Now, Hadjanin, I've known her for quite a number of years, and you too. She's so good.
Maybe not as long as you know her, but definitely, she's been around for so many years. Yeah. We had her on our radio show, the RM show here at French Africa. Yeah. It was amazing to have her. As you just said, she's from Burundi. Let me just remind all of you is that she left Burundi at early age with her parents, dad who was a diplomat, to move to Kinshasa in the DRC. And that's where she started her music.
Right, so exactly. A lot of influence there.
Yeah, a lot of influence. Of course, Congolese music, and then and now she's adding the Brazilian and Cuban rumba as well.
She's cool. And you can tell that coming through in her music.
Exactly.
And this is, I think, one of her latest videos.
That's correct.
Mama.
One of Mama. It's a great song. Right. Yeah, great song. It's an awesome video. Great song.
Okay, let's appreciate this.
Yeah.
Mama. Well, beautiful song.
Beautiful song, huh?
This is a tribute to mothers.
That's right, to all mothers, and you know, she believed and had so much respect, for all the mothers out there.
Yeah.
So she decided to write a song, to all the mothers.
Very quickly, a lot of influence also from what? Pygmy sound?
Exactly, and you can tell the way the sound started with all those background sound. Those are Pygmy original sound from, and as you know, there's so many Pygmies in the DRC, right? So they took those. I mean, she took those sounds in order to incorporate them in her song.
Right. I hope we're gonna have again.
And a quick mention, Vince, that she's actually leaving right now in Bamako. She decided to live in Bamako in Mali.
Amazing.
Right.
We'll talk about that again another time.
Sure.
Thanks a lot, Roger.
Thank you for having me.
Well, to learn more about Roger Muntu, host of Viewers RM Show, visit Facebook and type in the keywords Roger Muntu. There you can learn more about the music man and his dynamic social-cultural show. Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. Japanese beauty takes on a new dimension and a new controversy. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In Kenya, Christians joined hands in prayer for the 147 students killed in the Somali Islamist attack on Thursday. The opposition in Guinea tried to turn the capital Conakry into the dead city to protest against the ruling party's election timetable. In Sierra Leone, the Holy Spirit Hospital reopens through a UN-sponsored program to help detect Ebola cases. Finally, in Egypt, suspended 50 meters above the ground, customers in Cairo are experiencing the thrill of dining in the sky. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. 283 billion to 1. Now, those are the odds of winning the Euro Millions lottery twice. And that is just what happened to a couple from Northern England. This week, David and Kathleen Long won £1 million for the second time. Their first big win was in 2013. Retired truck driver David played his usual numbers and watched in amazement as they came up. He added that the win means he will probably take his wife on a cruise as he has run out of excuses not to go now. Well, next up, another CEO joins the roster of the very rich who are giving away their wealth. Apple Chief Executive Tim Cook told Fortune magazine that he plans to donate most of his nearly $800 million fortune to charity. Cook joins billionaire financier Warren Buffett, Microsoft's Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, and Oracle's Larry Ellison, who have all signed up for the so-called Giving Pledge. Cook took the reins at Apple in 2011 after Steve Jobs resigned. There will be one private recipient of Cook's generosity, his 10-year-old nephew, whose college education Cook has promised to pay for. And finally, Rihanna Miyamoto hadn't planned on entering a Japanese beauty contest because she's thought her multiracial origins meant she couldn't win. But she did enter, and she won. She was crowned Miss Universe Japan at a pageant last month. Then, to her surprise, her selection set off an internet firestorm. Some on social media argued she didn't look Japanese enough to represent the nation at a beauty contest. Miyamoto says she wants to make a difference, especially for the growing number of multiracial children in Japan. The daughter of a Japanese mother and an African-American father says neighboring Asian countries are more accepting of her than the place of her birth. But still, she is proud to be the latest public face of Japan. And that is what is trending today. Well, it's been an exciting week in sports. For all of the highlights, we turn to Sunny Yang with the sunny side of sports. Sunny.
Hi, Vincent, and sporty greetings once again to our Africa 54 viewers. We've reached the Final Four stage in the U.S. Men's College Basketball Championship Tournament. Let's take a look at the two semifinal games in Indianapolis, Indiana. The Spartans of Michigan State will meet the Blue Devils of Duke University in the first semifinal at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. And that will be followed by a game between unbeaten Kentucky and Wisconsin. The Wildcats of Kentucky are bidding to become the first team since Indiana in 1976 to complete a perfect season. The winners of the two semifinals will meet Monday night in Indianapolis in the national championship game. In professional basketball, let's give a sunny side of sports salute to Steve Nash, one of the game's greatest point guards who recently retired after an outstanding 18-year NBA career. The 41-year-old Nash was born in Johannesburg, South Africa. He was an 8-time NBA All-Star, and twice he received the league's Most Valuable Player award. An excellent passer, Steve Nash also led the NBA in assists 5 times. He began his NBA career with the Phoenix Suns, and Steve also played for the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers. At the international level, Steve Nash represented Canada. Finally, Gareth Bale is best known as a star footballer for Wales and the Spanish club Real Madrid, but he also knows how to shoot a basketball from long range. Spinning the ball on his right index finger and wearing a Miami Heat jersey, Bale proceeded to make 3 of 5 shots from half court. Shooting 60% from half court? Yes, I think the Welshman deserves another sunny side of sports salute. Nothing but net, Gareth Bale. I'm VOA's Sonny Young, and that's the sunny side of sports, sending the ball back to Vincent McCory.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Sonny, for the sunny side of sports. And remember, you can join Sonny here every Monday and Friday for the latest on sports. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com for more news. Tune into VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight, at 1800 UTC. And in the mornings, today, Break Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching. From all of us here in Washington, have a great weekend.
Music is something that brings people together.
Music educates, it motivates, it's a bridge.
Music, Ali.
On
VOA.
qubanaha VOA waxaan ku soo gudbinnaa qubanayaal goosgoos oo xiiso badan oo ku saabsan arrimaha Soomaaliya, Mareykanka iyo caalamkaba.
haddaba qubanaha VOA-da kala soco website-keena voasomali.com.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report.
I'm Milar Sega. I'm the host of VOA's The Correspondents.
A roundup of the world's top stories.
Here's a false choice in more ways than one.
We can't actually put you there, but we can come pretty close. In 30 minutes, we'll show you the world.